Hi, good morning to all of you. Today we will start about Indian planning. The topic of today's discussion is about your Indian planning. This is an interesting topic for all of you, I hope, because the time we get our independence in 1947, we see that many of the countries of the world, they have already adopted the system of planning. We look back at Russia, they have also already adopted this planning system, for example. So when we get independence in 1947, we also want that in sooner, in very less time, in very quick time, we also want to be developed. So keeping in mind the view of development, we have borrowed the planning system from Russia. So we can say we have borrowed their planning system from Russia, Soviet Russia, and we have set up our planning commission in 1950. As all of you know, that for planning commission, there will be a chairman headed by Prime Minister. By that time, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru being the first PM of India, he was the chairman of our planning commission. But before discussing about the planning system, let me tell you, what is planning? First of all, you should know what is planning. For every activity, we have to do some planning. Otherwise, we can't be success. Like that, Indian economy is the biggest economy, having a vast population, having a vast challenge. For that, actually, we have implemented our planning system. So what happened in planning? We fixed some targets, we fixed some objectives, and we try to fulfill that after the period of the planning. So borrowing the model of planning from Russia, for example, we have set up our planning commission in 1950, headed by our Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, and we have introduced our planning system in 1951. So we can say we have introduced our 5-year plan in 1951, starting from 1951 to 1956. In Independence India, we have launched our 5-year plans in 1951, and from 1951 to 1956 is our first 5-year plan. 1956 to 1956, our second 5-year plan. Accordingly, 1961 to 1966 is our third 5-year plan. But surprisingly, we have to suspend our planning system in 1966. Because when we introduce, for example, 3 5-year plans, we have seen, as we are not being experienced with planning system, we have failed in 5-year plan. We have completely failed in 3 5-year plans. So after 15 years of failure planning, we are being compelled, we are bound to suspend our planning 5-year plan. Instead of 5-year plan, we have introduced 3 annual plans in 1966-67, 1967-68, 1968-69. These are the 3 annual plan, for example. Not 5-year plan, these are the 3 annual plan. So in the history of Indian economy, these 3 plans, these 3 years are known as plan holiday, for example. You can see. Because instead of 5-year plans, we have introduced only annual plans. And after that, again, we have back to our track, and we are as well introducing our 5-year plan. Now, you know that 2016, for example, when Narendra Modi became Prime Minister, he has replaced that Indian planning by Niti Aayog. Nowadays, for example, there is no more 5-year plan. Now it is being replaced by Niti Aayog. But this is far from our discussion. We will focus on our present discussion. We will discuss about our objectives of Indian planning. So when you talk about planning, then the first point comes for you to understand. It is important for you to understand what are the main targets, what are the main objectives of our planning system. So let us move to our discussion about objectives of Indian planning. This is the first part of our discussion of Indian planning. For example, if you talk about the objectives of Indian planning, then we will write, for example, higher economic growth. This is the objective of not only India, but for all the countries of the world. Because all the countries want to be developed. All the countries want to be advanced. For their development, definitely, for example, they need the development of economic growth. So simply what you understand by economic growth? When you talk about economic growth, it implies increase in the national income of a country over a long period of time. You just remember, when you talk about economic growth, it implies increase in your total income over a long period of time. You can't tell that your rise in national income over a 2 period, 3 period, 5 year, for example. This is not called economic growth. When your national income rises over a long period, that is being called economic growth. So each and every country of the world, they want a continuous rise in national income. So this is the objective not only for India, but also the objective of all the countries who have introduced planning in their countries. The first and foremost objective of Indian planning is higher economic growth. That is not only for India, but also for all the countries. Because for every and each country to be developed, they need the development of national income. Without the development of national income, without the rise in national income, no country can develop. So the first and foremost objective of Indian planning is higher economic growth. And economic growth implies rise or increase in national income over a long period of time. But to be bad luck, Indian planning have shown the experience of bad economic growth, we can say. We have only succeeded, for example, in first plan only. What happens, for example, in the beginning of the planning period, for example, we have to fix some target. And after 5 years, for example, we have to analyze whether we have achieved or not. So if you see like that, only in independence India, we have introduced, for example, almost 12 5-year plans, but we have only succeeded only in first 5-year plan. Whatever the target we fixed in first plan, we have achieved. But after first plan, besides first plan, we have never achieved the target of economic growth in all other plans. That is a failure of our planning system, we can say. That is why we are sitting with a developing country. That is why we are sitting with an underdeveloped country. Might be we are able to focus our targets, might be we are able to achieve our targets, then India is not an underdeveloped country, rather we are a developed country, like all the countries of the world. So the first and foremost objective of any planning system is that higher economic growth. Coming down to point number 2, for example, we can say self-reliance. Self-reliance or self-sufficiency. What does the concept literally means? What does the concept actually means? When you talk about self-reliance, when you talk about personally about yourself, self-reliance, it implies you depend on yourself. You are able to sustain yourself. That is the meaning of self-reliance or self-sufficiency. What does it actually mean in terms of Indian economy is concerned? At the time of independence, we have to depend on foreign countries on a large scale. We have to import food items, we have to import machinery items, we have to import capital goods, because British rule have left our economy as a handicap. They have purely smashed, they have purely ruined our handicraft and handloom industries in India, for example. When they left India, for example, we have nothing for that. We are being underdeveloped in industrial segment is concerned. So by that time, we have to depend on foreign countries, for example, for food grains, for our basic requirement, and also we have to depend on foreign countries for import of machinery and capital goods. You know, a country cannot development without capital goods, without industrial development. That is why we have to depend, although we are not willing that. We know that import will always come in the minus side, export will always come in the positive side. Because why? When you export something, this will be the aid of foreign exchange to your Indian economy. When you import something, for example, it is a outflow of resources. You have to give something to the foreign countries. Take, for example, you import something from China. You import some machinery from China. It means you have to pay something to China in terms of foreign exchange. Foreign exchange in the sense American dollar. So import implies a negative point. When you export something, for example, when you are exporting some item to foreign countries, it means the foreign countries are liable to pay something to Indian government, and it is a plus. It is a calculation of balance sheet like that, assets and liabilities, for example. So every export creates a surplus, every import creates a deficit, for example. So with that, at the time of independence, we are on the negative side because our import is more. We have to depend on foreign countries for every item, for food grain items, for agricultural items, and for especially for machinery, capital goods, all items we have to depend on foreign countries for that. When you started our planning, for example, when we introduced our planning system, for example, we have achieved a lot of things, for example, during our 70 years of planning, for example. Nowadays, for example, we are not importing the food grain items. India is now in a position to maintain the food grain items on its own stand. We are not importing the food grain items from others because we have increased our agricultural production. We have increased our agricultural productivity over a long period. That is why the things which we are importing at the time of independence, now we are not importing. Because the point is that we have increased the production and productivity on a large scale. Not only we have increased the production in agriculture, but also we have been increasing the production of industrial sector. For example, we can say during planning period, we have introduced a policy, for example, export promotion and import substitution. This is the main motto of Indian planning so far as our self-reliance is being concerned. We have implemented the policy of this one, export promotion and import substitution. What do we mean by this one? Export promotion means for what? We have to increase our export level. We have to enhance our export level so that we can get a better foreign exchange, for example. And we have to produce whatever we are importing from others in our domestic standard, for example. In using our domestic technology, for example, we have to produce, for example, the items which you are importing previously from foreign countries. This is not, are you being clear about the policy of export promotion and import substitution? Export promotion implies you have to increase the export ratio, the export trend of previous one to a large scale. And import substitution implies, for example, whatever we are importing from foreign countries, for example, now we have to produce the same item using our domestic technology, using our own technology. That is the meaning of import substitution. Due to these two policies, for example, now India became a self-reliant or self-sufficient nowadays, for example. Coming down to point number 3, for example, we can write removal of inequality of income and wealth. To discuss about this point, we should know that poverty is the main reason right from independence. Poverty is the main factor causing posing an obstacle in economic development right from independence, for example. It is not the problem nowadays, for example. It started when you got independence. Many people remain very poor in India. Now the ratio is 21.9%. The population is 135 crores. You just imagine, out of 135 crores of population, 21.9% are living below poverty line. So government of India in the planning system have always tried to reduce poverty, to remove poverty, and try to go for a equal distribution of income and wealth. That is why, especially in fourth and 5-year plan, for example, we have implemented the concept to remove poverty. By the time, there is a famous concept by Congress government, that is your Garibi Hotao. They go for a slogan like that, Garibi Hotao, in that fourth plan, for example. I remember they have introduced that concept in fourth plan, for example, and accordingly from that time onwards, we are focusing on reducing poverty and unemployment in India, so that we can go for a equal society, equal distribution of income and wealth. It is only possible because Indian planning have realized we will be only establishing equal distribution of income and wealth when we are able to reduce poverty and unemployment. Without reducing poverty, without reducing unemployment, we can't establish a society of equal distribution of income and wealth. That is why we always focus on removing the inequality of income and wealth. This is also the major concern. This is also the major objective of Indian planning, next to your higher economic growth and self-reliance. Discussing further about the objectives of Indian planning, I would like to focus on other points. For example, we have discussed about 3 points regarding objectives of Indian planning. We will go to point number 4, and your point number 4 will be removal of poverty and unemployment. For a country like India, since we gained our independence in 1947, our major focus, our major challenge has been to reduce or to remove the problem of poverty and unemployment. Poverty and unemployment are the biggest socio-economic challenge in Indian economy. We have already realized, the country have already realized, our planning system also realized, as long as we are not able to remove poverty and unemployment, we cannot see India as a developed country, for example. To see India as a developed country in a coming year, to see our growth rate growing further, we have to reduce, we have to remove poverty and unemployment. So accordingly, for example, in Indian planning, in fourth plan and fifth plan, for example, 5-year plan, we have been focused to reduce the rate of poverty and unemployment. Because in India, almost, for example, 30% of the people are living below poverty line, and along with poverty, the rate of unemployment is also very high. You will find various types of unemployment. You will find unemployment in agriculture. You will find unemployment in industrial sector. You will find unemployment in rural sector. You will find unemployment in urban sector. So unemployment and poverty has many dimensions in India. You talk about poverty, there are 2 types of poverty. One is your absolute poverty, one is relative poverty. You talk about unemployment, there are basically 2 types of unemployment. One is your rural unemployment, one is your urban unemployment. If you go to rural unemployment, then in the field of agriculture, you will find unemployment like seasonal unemployment, like you will find disguised unemployment. If you talk about urban economy, then you will find underemployment, then you will find educated unemployment. So the dimension of poverty and unemployment is multidimensional. We can't see a single dimension of poverty and unemployment in India. So we have to plan our strategy. We have to fix our strategy in 5-year plan in such a way so that we can be able to reduce the rate of poverty and unemployment. Our planning system have already realized, as long as we are not able to reduce the rate of poverty and unemployment, we cannot be a developed country. Because the history of world economy is telling you that all the countries of the world, all the developed countries of the world, they have successfully reduced unemployment and poverty, and now they are emerging as the leading developed countries of the world. That is why I am purely telling that to reduce poverty and unemployment is the biggest challenge of our Indian planning system. Realizing that challenge, they have also already mentioned as a major target, as a major objective of the planning system. So discussing further, for example, we will go to our one more point. modernization, for example. Point number 5 will be your modernization, for example. Let us go for the literal meaning of modernization. What do you mean by modernization, for example? Modernization refers to the structural, the institutional change that will transform the traditional economy into a modern economy. When you talk about simply about modernization, what it implies, modernization refers to advanced technology. Advanced technology may be in industrial sector, advanced technology may be in the agricultural sector. Simply you understand, modernization refers to something new. Modernization refers to some new ideas, some new techniques, found some new strategies that will change our traditional economy into a modern economy. You just understand. The simple meaning of modernization refers to the structural and institutional changes that will change our traditional economy. We are always telling our economy is traditional. Why our economy is traditional? Our economy is traditional because more than 50% of our population are living in the traditional agricultural sector. Advanced countries of the world, they have shown that they have advanced, they have modern sector, modernized economy, because in those countries the people depending on agriculture is below 10%. For example, almost 90% of the people, they work in industrial and other service sector. For example, that is why they are developed. So, realizing the need, we have introduced the policy of, or in our planning, we have fixed the target of modernization. So, modernization refers to structural and institutional changes that can convert a traditional economy into a modern economy. This is the meaning of modernization. Structural and institutional changes that can convert, that can transform a traditional means what you are, old economy into a modern economy. So to convert, to shift a traditional, a old economy to a new economy, whatever the policy you will implement, that is called modernization. You see, when we started our planning system in the fourth plan onwards, for example, in the fourth plan, we have introduced modernization in agriculture. You heard about green revolution. You have some idea about green revolution. Green revolution we have implemented in 1965-66. Almost in the fourth plan, we have introduced green revolution in the agriculture. So we can say green revolution is a step forward towards modernization in agricultural sector. What do you mean by green revolution? What is the basic point regarding green revolution? It is a new agricultural strategy. It is a new agricultural planning that is implemented in Punjab and Haryana on sample basis. When we started green revolution, we have introduced the policy of green revolution in Punjab and Haryana. Then in course of time, we have extended green revolution to other parts of the country. And initially green revolution was started in the crop of wheat. Initially we implemented green revolution in wheat. Then it was later on extended to rice and other crops, for example. So we can say as a step toward modernization in the fourth plan, 1965-1966, for example, we have introduced the concept of green revolution in the field of agricultural sector. This is the biggest step towards modernization in Indian economy for agricultural sector. It is a new planning. What do you understand by green revolution? Green revolution implies use of new machines, use of new techniques, use of HYV seeds. HYV means what? High yielding variety. The seeds that will produce more crops. That is the meaning of high yielding variety. Then modern irrigation system, then modern pesticides. All these things are referring to the green revolution. So in the field of agriculture, we have introduced the policy of green revolution in 1965-66. You come to industrial sector. In industrial sector also, we are introducing some new technology to improve our industrial sector. So in industrial sector also, for example, we have introduced some good technology. We have introduced some new technology in industrial sector that will justify the statement of modernization. Because I am telling from the starting, modernization refers to those policies, those techniques that will transform, that will change a old economy into a modern economy. What are the steps you are taking in industrial and agricultural sector that will convert a old economy into a modern economy? That is the meaning of modernization. So our planning system are working. Our planning system is working very effortlessly. Our planning system is working continuously on the concept of modernization, because today's world is a modern world. Today's world is a new world. Wherever you go, you want new techniques. Wherever you go, you want new ideas. And the country is a developed, a country will be advanced, a country is going to more advanced if it goes for better modernization. You can't stop. So far the topic is modernization is concerned, you can't stop in the topic of modernization. It is always a better to better, for example. You have to develop better and better. Better and better in the term of in the concept of technology. Better and better in the sense of new idea, innovations, for example. That is the concept behind modernization. So this is also the main core concept. This is also the main core objective of Indian planning, for example. Now let us move to our last point, for example, regarding reduction of regional imbalance. We can say we will finalize our discussion by the point number 6, that is reduction of regional imbalance. Before going to discuss about regional imbalance, you have to understand what is the meaning of regional balance. What is the meaning of regional balance? Regional development. What is the meaning of regional development? We have a decentralized country. We have many states, for example. We have vast population, for example. We have vast population, we have vast areas, we have vast states, we have many localities, for example. After independence, for example, what we have seen, some states have more advanced, some states still remain backward. After independence, what happened? We have seen some states like Maharashtra, state like Tamil Nadu, state like Andhra Pradesh, state like West Bengal, they have developed. But some, on the other hand, some states like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, and Odisha, they are still lagging behind. This is called regional imbalance. This is called regional inequality, for example. So, regional imbalance, before going to the topic of regional imbalance, you just understand regional development, regional balance. Regional development implies development, parallel development among all states. Regional development implies parallel development, development on equal basis among all the states. It is called regional balance or regional development. But our India economy is not being regional balance. Our economy always suffers from regional imbalance. Our economy always suffers from regional inequality. Some states are more advanced, some states are less advanced. In some states you will see poverty ratio is high. In some states you will see poverty ratio is low. In some states you will see industrial sector is developed. In some states you see industrial sector is not being developed. But as a country to be developed, as a country to reach at the top level, for example, we have to perform among all the states. We have to perform among all the localities. We have to develop among all the states. Then only we can be a developed country. With stating some states backward, with some states advanced, for example, we cannot be a developed country. That is not the actual meaning of development. When you are talking about development, it implies development among all localities, development among all people, development among all societies. This is called regional development. When some states are being developed, if some are not developed, that is not the meaning of regional development, or this is not the meaning of actual development. When you are talking about regional development, it implies development among all localities, development among all the states. It is called regional development. So it is possible when we focus parallelly on all the states, when we supervise, when we monitor the activities of all the sectors in all the areas, then only it is possible. So realizing the need of regional imbalance, Realizing the need of regional development, our planning system have also focused on reduction of regional imbalance. I am repeating that point once again. Realizing the need of regional development, our planning system have focused on removing regional imbalance, because in nowadays also we have crossed our 70 years of independence. We have passed 7 decades of our independence, but still some states are being developed, some states are not being developed. Some are developed, some are underdeveloped. Some states are developed in industrial sector, some sectors are not being developed in industrial sector. State like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, for example, we can say they are not being so much fully developed in industrial sector. State like Bihar also comes under this category, whereas states like Maharashtra, state like Tamil Nadu, they are being developed in industrial sector segment. But this is not the actual meaning of regional development, or this is not the actual meaning of regional balance. To maintain the concept of regional balance, we need parallel development. We need development, equal development among all the states. That is the actual meaning of regional development. So, realizing the need, our planning system have also fixed the target of reducing the regional imbalance. They have to step many steps. They have to take many efforts to maintain such type of regional development in course of time. So let us just brief the points once again. For example, I am telling, we have fixed the targets of Indian planning. We have fixed the aim and objectives of Indian planning. In the initial phase, I discussed about that economic growth or rise in economic growth and national income. Then also I told about your reduction of income inequality. Then I told about self-reliance, how we are going to our self-sufficiency or self-dependent. In the time of independence, we are depending on foreign countries on a large scale. But nowadays, we have improved our position. Now we have developed among ourselves. Now, and we are a self-dependent country. And coming back to other points, we have also focused on removing poverty and unemployment through various poverty alleviation programs. We have also discussed about the concept of modernization, the need of modernization, the need of the time. Without modernization, a society cannot develop. Without modernization, a country cannot develop. And last but not least, it is the point here, reduction of regional imbalance, parallel development among all the states. Then only development is possible. So these are the brief objectives of Indian planning that our planning system has been focusing right from starting. We have started our planning in 1951. We have introduced our first 5-year plan in 1951. And from now onwards, for example, from time to time, we are focusing on our key objectives regarding keeping in view the vast size of Indian population, keeping in view the vast difference in the nature of economy. We have fixed all the targets, we have fixed all the objectives. For example, in the second part of Indian planning, we will discuss about the achievements of Indian planning. We will analyze how much we have achieved, how much success we have achieved, and how much failure we have achieved. It is your second part. We will discuss about the achievements of Indian planning. For the time being, these are the objectives of Indian planning. Thank you to all.